Hello, everyone. How are you? And welcome to episode 15 of Honest Conversations. I can't believe it's been 15 episodes. It's pretty crazy. It's becoming a ritual. I'm sorry I got delayed a little bit, but we've been having some technical problems with the ISP. And I've been on the phone for about 45 minutes trying to solve the technical internet issues. Hopefully, you can have a smooth connection, God willing, for the next couple of minutes or hour. It's great to see you all. God bless you. I hope you're doing great. I recognize that the timing for those who live in the Arab region might conflict a little bit with iftar, but unfortunately, it's too difficult and challenging to change the time for everyone globally. So we're going to remain on this time. And I hope that you guys will adapt and make the best out of it. So it's great to see you all. Today is a very interesting topic. I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest, because I'm going to be focusing on how to enhance your sales. Now, primarily, what's the objective from this talk? It's really to support all of you who are right now in the pandemic trying to figure out how to generate more money, how to hit your objectives and achieve greater results for your job position, for your company, maybe your own venture or your own startup, for your own development in any area, and maybe a second job or another source or stream of income. And over the next couple of episodes, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the business aspect for you too. Not just behavior when it comes to our personal development, but rather behavior when it comes to our own ability to enhance our income streams and enhance the way that we generate funds. And I think that this is essential because when we have a good income stream, a solid, reliable income stream, this adds a lot of quality to our life. It gives us a lot of options. It gives us a lot of choices and allows us to, obviously invest in ourselves and enhance the quality of our life, reducing our stress and so on. So in order for me to be able to serve you best, I'd like to better understand what it is exactly that you guys do. So if you don't mind taking a few moments, hello to everyone again, just writing down what is it that you do. You know, if you work in sales, in any form of sales, sales management, operations, even marketing or advertising, any form of, let's say, business or any job that requires you to persuade, enhance, influence, and give people choice, then I'd like to know about it. So just take a few seconds to write that down, share that with me so I have a better idea about your reality, and that way I can customize my approach to sales in relation and relativity to your actual reality. Okay? Jihad, great to see you as always, cost controller in a catering company. Okay. So in this case, your sales or your selling ability might be directly related to other departments, maybe to buying, purchasing, maybe with your vendors and stuff like that. I'd like to know a little bit more about the rest of you. Who else is functioning right now in a sales environment, and what type of job do you do or are you interested in enhancing yourself in so I can serve you better? Okay. So let me know more about that and we'll take it from there. Waiting to see some more responses. Okay. All right. Insurance sales. All right. Absolutely. Life insurance. Okay. We've got luxury item sales. Okay. Fantastic. What else? Consultancy. Okay. Coaching. Okay. So you sell coaching hours. All right. IT sales. Okay. IT security. Okay. That's really good. What else, guys? Share with me more information just so I have a better idea of how to serve you best. I do have 3 cameras. I'm going to be jumping around. So when you see me not completely focused on you guys, just know I'm jumping between 3 different cameras at the same time, which is a bit crazy. Sometimes I feel like I'm going zigzag. All right. Educational services. Okay. Okay, so there's a lot of interesting positions here, and I think it's pretty diverse. Medical sales, okay? that's pretty diverse. And this is very important because it allows us to understand better how to serve you. All right. Primarily, if you were to think about sales, and what I'm going to do right now is kind of summarize very quickly a few ideas. I would like to try to make these sessions a lot shorter because I feel it's a lot easier for people who are watching the sessions to benefit from the overall information outcome. So let me kind of start by introducing a specific idea. In general, when we talk about sales performance, you're going to find that we talk about the fact that you, as an individual, have the ability to influence your sales results first, primarily by your mindset. And so what does that mean? What does it mean to have a sales mindset? And I don't want to get boring or repetitive in this, but to be very frank with you, a lot of people are afraid of selling. And most times when we approach the concept of selling, here we get some challenges because in our mind there are, let's say, objections or concerns or maybe some form of fear or a belief system that is somewhat limiting our performance. So I can't tell you how many people tell me, well, John, we're in a difficult economy, and right now the world is in a recession globally. And even locally in some countries, like if you live in Lebanon right now, as I do currently, you might tell me, well, there's a recession in Lebanon, we have inflation, so people aren't really buying. But is that really true? Because if you take a look economically at certain aspects of the economy, you'll find that there are some industries that are booming like crazy, and there are other industries that aren't, right? So just this last week, my friends and I were trying to find a location. All of them are COVID immune, and they wanted to find a location in order for us to celebrate a birthday. So probably our first celebration in about a year and a half, considering that we're all in lockdown. We've all been very, very careful, and we're still going to do a lot of PCRs, and it's just a small group of 6 people. So nothing really crazy. So please do make sure you maintain social distancing, all that kind of stuff. And it's just impossible to find a location that is not booked already for 6 months in advance, and any ecotouristic kind of outdoor kind of structure. So does that say that economies are in an absolute standstill? Well, if this is the case, where are people getting the money? So what this tells you is whether people have the money or they don't, they're willing to spend in certain areas, all right? And understanding how we make our decisions helps us a lot to understand how to work in the sales field. A lot of people think that selling is about persuading, but actually it has nothing to do with the sort. Because when you try to persuade someone, you're not trying to sell them, you're trying to manipulate them. And there's a very big difference between that old classic style of selling, like the kind of pictures you get in your mind of a used car salesperson who's trying to come and say, aha, what kind of car are you looking for? I will find you the best one. Don't worry, it's very good for you. Yes. And you get other situations when you get people who try to sell you insurance. And insurance is a fantastic product. But unfortunately, they get super coached by, individuals who still follow some old guidelines. And what they end up doing is pretty much trying to persuade you into the sales process. So what I'd like to do is first start off by saying, if you really want to increase your sales, you need to first decide, are you in control of the outcome or are you not in control of the outcome? So it doesn't matter what challenges exist in your life. In general, you can always sell something. And most importantly, what you sell has to add value to people's lives. So the economy today has changed tremendously. Consumers today are very self-aware. They know what they want. They have a lot of choice in most cases. They've become picky. Going online and serving people online has reduced the ability for stores and malls and things like that to actually produce high numbers of sales, because people can pretty much buy anything right now with the flick of a thumb on your phone. And even though there are still a lot of countries trying to catch up to this process, but I think it's really important to understand that there's more and more trust, especially in the next 10 years, this next decade, in digital sales. And I think that's going to be prominently where purchases take place, because people want more and more streamlined experiences. They want less and less time spent. So who really feels like getting up, driving all the way to a supermarket, being exposed potentially to COVID and dealing with all the headaches? Certain people who still don't trust the online experience. But for those of us who use apps like Toters and Zomato and InstaShop and so many other apps that are out there, Once you try it once or twice and you really understand the dynamics of it, it makes your life a lot easier. And I can tell you that I'm a fan of online purchases as long as there's a guarantee that that purchase will be returned in case there's something faulty with the product. So Amazon definitely does that. Many other platforms do that. So let's focus on what we can sell in today's market. First off, I think the biggest challenge in selling is that most people don't spend enough time building a good connection of trust and understanding with their future potential client. So there's two types of sales that we can talk about, okay? There's the kind of sales that fondly is referred to as, let's say the ability to go out and hunt a potential client. So you're doing cold calling, you're picking up the phone, you're having conversations, you're trying to buy lead lists, you're trying to find people who might qualify, and then you're qualifying them, and qualifying them means basically taking a look at a list of requirements and seeing if they fit as someone who is able to buy, someone who meets your target market. Slow down. Okay, I'll say. So I'll repeat that. So again, to qualify someone, you think about it from this perspective. I say, what am I selling? Is it a product or service? And who might need this the most? When I think about this product and service, I say to myself, all right, does this person have the buying power? So that's qualifying. That's making sure that he or she has the finances to be able to afford the product or service that I present, okay, or provide or promote, whatever it is. I also might take a look at, is there a need? So is there a need that I can satisfy, resolve, or solve for that person during that situation? So a lot of us go out and hunt, okay, to find, hopefully, an A-grade lead, to try to convert that lead from a lead into a client in hopes of achieving a sale. And that kind of a sale is a sale that I call money today, okay? So that's me having to put a lot of energy to find the right type of client, then to approach that client, to establish quick trust with that client, to establish credibility with that client, and then to persuade that client on why they should trust me if I'm the salesperson, persuade that client on why they should trust my company, the brand I belong to, the biggest one, or the sub-brand, and then persuade the client to trust the product or service, and then even overcome buyer's resistance, so their resistance to spend money in a difficult market, close the sale, seal the sale, and then after that, collect the funds, process the funds, and have the funds in my account, whatever percentage of it I'm going to get. That's a very energy-consuming process. And in most cases, when you're doing cold or even warm calls, so a cold call is when you call someone that doesn't know you, you don't know them, they probably don't know much about you or the product or the service or the company. And a warm call is a situation where that person is being referred to you by someone else, or they've displayed some kind of interest in the product in some way, shape, or form, online or so forth, or they're people who have been referred by somebody else, whatever it is, and you're calling them and you're saying, hi, I understand that you're interested in this. This is what I was communicated, and I would like to see how I can serve you, blah, 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 blah. Both of these are when a human being goes out to try to find and close. So it's almost like hunting. The alternative side of this matrix is when you spend time establishing a strong relationship between you and your potential market or target audience, using media. So something like computers, phones, whatever, TV, anything above the line or below the line, where you're starting to communicate certain information and ideas in order to establish trust with these individuals. And in this process, you're giving value first. So what you're doing is you're showcasing who you are, what your value is, what your potential is, what your qualities are. And in turn, what's happening is that person is starting to feel more and more comfortable with you as time goes by. So giving you an example of this, let's say you specialize in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. And what you've been told by your company is you got to go out and find individuals who would start to invest with cryptocurrency, and that you're given a couple of leads. what's going to happen is you're going to call and say, hi, how are you? My name is, John, and I'd like to talk to you about your investment plan for the future, or some cheesy line like that. The reality is that individual is not welcoming the call. You're interrupting their reality. And to be honest, they don't even know who you are. So that puts you at a disadvantage. And there's a lot of energy built trying to build rapport instantly and then trying to convert that lead into a one-call close, which is ultimately what every salesperson hopes for and every sales manager is empowering his team or her team to do. Alternatively, in the second spectrum, where you're actually promoting information, valuable information, and makes a difference for people on media, these individuals, like Gary Vee is one of those people who uses his own personal media network, is communicating to an extent value to the audience that are interested in what he has to offer. Okay. And in this situation, after a while, you start to establish familiarity with his brand. You start to feel like you've known him for a long time. So let me give you an example of this. This is an actual side effect of the brain. If you look at Friends, okay, who here between everybody that's watching has actually taken the time to watch 3, 4, 5 seasons of Friends? And if you have, you'll notice that over time, you establish a weird kind of connection with one or many of the actors in the series. So you might be more fond of Joey or Ross, okay, or whatsoever. And what you'll find is that you start to relate to him, her, when, or Monica, whatever, when you're watching the series. So you'll notice that, it's so typical Monica, or so typical Joey, right? Well, here's the thing. That's not really Joey, first off. And if it was Joey, you don't really know him. And so what's happening in your brain is you're starting to warm up to that individual because of the constant exposure through media. And so in this format, most times we call this farming. So again, let me repeat. There's the classic sales where you go out, you're getting money today, you are working very hard in order to ensure that you're collecting funds today, you're putting a lot of energy to close the lead and convert it. And the alternative is you're using many different strategies to communicate to a potential target audience, build familiarity with your brand, give them a lot of value first, let them recognize your true capabilities, okay, and what you can offer, building solid trust. And by the time they contact you, they're already very interested in your product and service. And there's already a strong established level of trust. Now, hunting, you can lie in hunting, even though I totally don't recommend it. And I'm completely against it. You can manipulate in hunting, but you won't maintain client, if you want, how do we say this? Loyalty at all over the long term. So you're turning and burning the lead. In farming, you can't. In farming, you really need to know your stuff. You really have to add value. And so farming is a much more authentic way of establishing a strong relationship with your clientele or potential clientele and increasing your sales. And the difference primarily is that once a lead comes to you from farming, from communicating value, from giving something in advance first, what's actually happening is there's no need to build rapport anymore because it's already established. The trust level is already much higher. So imagine you're starting from a trust level of 70 versus starting from a trust level of 0, which is easier, right? And let's talk about trust for a few moments. So there's a lot of gurus in sales, and they all pretty much say the same thing in many different ways, okay? In general, if you wanted to buy a product, okay, and you were evaluating its value, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you trust the product is going to deliver what it promises. So there's a certain promise in your mind of what this product is supposed to deliver, okay, or this service is supposed to deliver. And that's truly what you want. If it doesn't deliver it, then you're going to have problems, okay? Alternatively, the second thing you need to do is to trust the company or the brand itself. So let me give you an example of this. If you logged on to Netflix and you purchased Netflix for the first time, and you're expecting Netflix to have a wide variety of choices that might suit your mood and be able to watch it daily without getting bored, at least to an extent, at least for the first 6 months, because you have a lot of choice and you're new to it. Imagine now you get on Netflix and you find you only have 6 or 7 different choices for each genre, whether it's romantic or comedy or action or horror or whatever it is, okay? I think you'll be pretty disappointed. Now, go further than that. Imagine that when you communicate this to Netflix, you say, hey, you're charging me, but Apple TV or Stars Play or OSM Prime gives me so much more value. And they say, well, that's not our problem. You chose to register with us. Then you lost faith in the company. And ultimately, if there was a representative who called you initially to pitch you on Netflix, you're like, this guy was a sly, horrible individual who cheated me. So what I'm trying to say in very simple terms is, over time, we've all been there. We've all been in a situation where a salesperson sold us, promised us something that was never delivered. We've all worked with a company that promised they would add tremendous amounts of value and they never delivered. We've always dealt with a company that has horrible customer service or a bad customer experience where we went there to experience it, whether it's food or anything else, and they didn't fully deliver and they didn't take responsibility for the correction. So over time, as individuals, as buyers, we build up resistance. And this resistance says, well, okay, this all sounds fantastic, sounds too good to be true. I'm not really sure I'm going to spend right now. Maybe I should wait. Maybe it's not the best market to make this decision. So what does this tell you? If we follow our logic alone, we don't always buy because there are a lot of questions that are going on in the client's mind. So examples of this are, do I really need it right now? As a person who's buying, do I really need this product? Is it necessary for me right now? Is it the best time to make this purchase and spend that money, especially since money's tight? 2, will it give me what I want? Will it give me what I was promised and what I really need? So that's got to be answered. 3, what's in it for me? You know, what's the added value? What can it offer me that I can't get from somewhere else? And is there any proof for that? So is there any way to substantiate the claims that you're making before I make this purchase? And probably, can I trust you? And do you really have my best interest in mind? So over time, are you an individual who's going to look out for me? Or am I in a situation where you're going to take advantage of my goodwill and my good heart, and in that case, kind of, make a little money and then disappear, right? Gone with the wind. So these are primary questions that we ask as buyers when we're making this choice. Now, that's because after time, our reptilian brain, becomes sensitive to the buying process, and we just don't want to be cheated. It feels so bad to be cheated. It makes you feel silly, dumb sometimes. You speed it up in the decision. That decision hurts you, or you just don't feel too good about the purchase. And we call this buyer's remorse. So after I buy it for a while, I feel pretty bad about the purchase that I made. Now, in reality, most times when you're starting the sale and you're starting to communicate with an individual, whether you're cold calling, whether it's a hot call, whether you're meeting with the person face to face, whether it's conversation on Zoom or the internet, or whether you farmed properly and that's an inbound lead that contacted you, said, hey, I'm really interested in what you're providing and the services that you offer. In most times, the first thing that you need to discover is, what does this person really want, right? So if I walked up to an individual and, I called an individual and I said, hi, Mr. Steve, since Steve, my buddy, is watching, I'd like to tell you more about my services as a consultant, coach, trainer, mentor, blah, blah, blah. My name is John Kiruz, and we've got so many special packages during the holy month of Ramadan, or, during this period in spring, or whatever it is. You try to use some context for a specific period of time to give it like a special case, right now, only on discount for this moment, blah, blah, blah. And then I start trying to pitch Steve what I do. Sir, there's a lot of difference between professional coaches and trainers and others that don't do this quality work. You'll definitely see the difference once you get more involved in our processes. Allow me to share with you one of our products, blah, 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 blah. What is this person hearing on the other end of the phone or on the face-to-face? He's simply hearing you go blah. And in his mind or her mind, they're like, oh God, when is this going to finish? The typical pitch. So I could just ask the question I want to ask. What I'd like to recommend for you is, if you're going to really sell someone, sales, the word sell, comes from, I think, the Norwegian word serve, which means to serve, I think I pronounced this correctly. And what that is really a service. So what is a service? A service is saying, I am going to discover the map of reality in my client's mind. I'm going to find out what he or she really needs, what he or she really wants and desires, and then I'm going to serve them based on that need. So if their need is a pain they want to resolve, then that's a problem they need to fix, and I have a solution, so be it. I give them the right solution. If their pain or their need is, for example, something they'd like to experience, but they haven't been able to experience, then I provide them with that experience. So it's not really ever a sale, because in fact, all you're simply doing is you're asking, you're listening actively, you're assuming the best intentions for you and for them, you're approaching with trust and sincerity and care. And then what you're doing ultimately is you're discovering, what do they really want and need? So at the beginning of the sales process, objectively, it's extremely important, absolutely important, to ask a lot more than to talk, okay? That's if you're selling normal types of sales. So normal sales products, normal, anything that is within the context of high quality customer service. If you're going to high ticket sales, that's a completely different animal. And we're not going to talk about this in today's session, because that's for individuals who will have a unique approach. And that unique approach doesn't necessarily need to be customer oriented. Okay. Roy, great to see you, bro. You're providing a solution to a problem. Yeah. And maybe more than one solution. And they choose what suits them best. And they feel that they are completely in the control of the process. Notice this. Anytime you walk into a store and you want to buy a product, walks up to you some individual who works in that store, any person who wants to attend to your needs, and they say, "Can I help you?" Instantly, most of us are programmed saying, "Oh, well, not right now. I'm just looking around." Why is that response there? In most cases, that response is there because you don't want to be sold. It doesn't feel good to be sold. You don't want to be persuaded or pushed or prodded. What you want is to have the right and the complete control to choose on your own. So there's a very big difference in what happens in your brain and your reality. Smart salespeople pay attention to this. And what they do is they create an environment where they recognize the distinction. Okay, it's a very soft distinction between pushing, pulling, and inviting. So if I was in a store right now and a potential client walks in, I acknowledge their existence. So I look at them in the eye, they look at me, I smile, and if they continue looking at me, I just say, "My name is John, and if you need anything from me, I'm here to serve you. Just call me anytime. My name is John." That's it. So what do you just establish? Hi, I recognize that you exist. You're there. You're important to us. Welcome to our store. This is my name, and I'm here to serve you whenever you want. I'm at your availability, and do whatever you like. Most times, because you're not pushy, they'll say, "Yeah, I have a couple of questions." And you go, "Certainly. Tell me all about it. What would you like? What are you looking for?" Very easy. There's no selling involved. You're so relaxed and laid back. And then they come up to you and they say, "Well, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that." And you say, "Well, we have many choices. Would you like me to show you?" And for a lot of hardcore salespeople, they say, "Well, no, you're supposed to be dominant over the client." No, you're not. That's not dominance. That's pushing. That's aggression. You're forcing the person to react to you. They might end up buying because they feel pressured. And trust me, they will never, ever come back to your store afterwards because they didn't feel good about the experience. Instead, when I'm giving people choice, I'm partnering up with them. So we're a team saying, "Okay, what would you like to look at? What's interesting to you? How do you feel about this? How does this look for you? How does it sound? Would you like to try something else?" If they ask you for your opinion, give it honestly. Say, "Honestly, it looks good on you. I think with your current build, there might be better choices for you. Would you like me to show you?" So what you're doing is you're simply providing choice. And when people are busy choosing, they become emotionally involved. Why? Because then they don't feel threatened. So they can shift from their reptilian brain over to their limbic system and prefrontal cortex, and they will enjoy the selling process. They will enjoy buying, because buying is meant to be enjoyable. It should be fun to go to a certain store and buy my sporting goods. I should be able to enjoy the experience of purchasing something and spending my hard-earned money in a time when decisions have to be tough about where you spend your money. Everyone has reasons to avoid buying. Everyone has reasons to say it's not the best choice right now. So most times people don't buy logically. Most times people buy emotionally. Okay? And for them to buy emotionally, what that means is that they have to build a connection with the product and service, and they have to build a connection with you. So on a physical level, if I'm selling, for example, I don't know, a cable, right? So what I say is, well, this is one of the best cables that we have. It's really sturdy. Give it a shot. Here, take a look at it. You can get a feel for how firm it is. And so I'm describing the elements of the cable, and that person grabs the cable, and I say, if you just feel the texture, sir, and he feels the texture, and I say, you see, this is really good quality. It's going to last for a very long time, and it doesn't bend so easily. Give it a shot, give it a try. You've also got straps here, and these straps are Velcro. They really do a good job at making sure that your cables don't get tangled, because that seems to be the most common complaint from our clients in general when they come to buy a product of this type. What are your thoughts? Is this what you're looking for? Or would you like to try something else? So really what I've done is I've simply explained some elements, allowed his focus or her focus to pay attention to the details that make a difference. And from asking him or her, I would recognize that what they want is something sturdy, something reliable, and something that will last for a long time. Another example of this is, for example, I don't know, hand cream. You might say, well, look, there's a couple of hand creams out there, and we can serve you with a lot of these. Do you mind if I just ask you a couple of questions before I, show you our selection? Because there's so many, and I want to wait. I appreciate your time, and I would like you to get to the best top 3 choices for you. And people love that. They're like, oh no, sure, I would love to answer some questions. And you say, all right. When it comes to hand cream, what would you say is the most important thing for you? So what's the most, let's say, important requirement that you're looking for? And you might say, well, I really wanted to keep my hands moist. And I say, okay, fantastic. Anything else you'd like to tell me about? Or what's next? What's number 2? You say, well, I want it to be a small container. Okay, fantastic. What else? I want to make sure that it's a good quality, it doesn't have a lot of chemicals in it, and it won't harm me in the process. And I say, all right, fantastic. Can you tell me about hand creams you've tried in the past, and which ones have been hand creams that you haven't enjoyed? And we'll say, well, I don't really like the feeling when it's sticky, when my hands just kind of stick together. And you say, okay, fantastic. So high absorption. What else? I don't want it to be oil-based because it has this weird smell afterwards. Great. So no odor. What else? It would be great if the package was kind of manly, because I want to feel like I'm a man when I'm buying the cream. You say, all right, well, based on what you've communicated to me, we've got 2 choices seem to be closest. This is olive-based. It does have a smell, but it's a very small smell, and it goes away within a few minutes. And we've got this, for example, which is a nice manly package. The benefit is that it's a little bit larger, so you're getting more value for your buck. And at the end of the day, when you try it and you apply it instantly, as you can see, sir, if you'd like to, would you like to try it? And he says, all right. You put a little bit on his finger, if there is a tester, and you say, just take a feel. Rub your hands together, and hopefully that's going to moisturize you really well, especially after all the sprays we're using because of COVID, and keep your hands nice and well. And let's give it a few seconds, maybe take a look around the store, and let me know when your hands feel that they've absorbed the cream fully. So he goes out there, he goes around, comes back in a few seconds, and actually I'm completely done. That's it. This is an amazing product, but there's no more of it in the pharmacies and lab. And done. That's it. No stickiness. See? Completely absorbed. I think I just sold this. So what happens in this case is he feels good. He tried the product. He believes in it, if that is an option. And smells good. No problem. And guess what's going to happen? It's not the sale of the hand cream that just won you the client. It's the fact that it was the most educational, most inviting, most beneficial experience that he's had so far, where someone actually took the time to understand his needs when you can. And that person is going to say, you know what, I'm not going to come back to any other, cream store or pharmacy, whatever it is, because this guy is pro. He really cares about what I want. He's listened to my needs, and he's interacted with it in a positive way. So in this situation, you're benefiting. Let's say, I hope I'm giving you good examples. Steve, for us, sales works by addressing 2. Okay. 1, what problem am I solving, and how much the client is willing to pay for a solution? Across all businesses, we apply farming and aim to maximize the yield of inbound leads. 100%. I don't think a lot of people know about farming. I think it's a very misunderstood concept. And that's why I really do believe that if you're a startup, if you're a business that just launched, or you're a young business, so you're still in your first year of operations, a lot of you will be very driven to try to do a lot of hunting, closing these, because you need money today. And that's okay. And you need money monthly, so money every month, which is fantastic. But in the long term, it's very time consuming and very energy consuming. So strategically, it's about also finding some balance. And how you find that balance is about also communicating your value and using a medium. That medium could be a blog. That medium could be emails, even though I'm not too fond of it. It could be a podcast. It could be social media like this, like a streaming service. It could be YouTube. It could be Facebook. Whatever platform you feel is most aligned with who you are, that's where you should spend the majority of your energy. And like Gary Vee says, okay, just post. Just post. I know, to be very honest, I'm not a fan of Gary Vee in certain aspects because I believe he takes it too far. So he's too against parenting, and I think that that's an issue. But apart from that, in many aspects, the guy really understands media. All right. What else should I talk about? I'm just trying to think about how to serve you guys best. Another thing is, if you take a look at the law of reciprocity, so there's a law out there. They call it a law, but in fact, it's just natural human instinct. When you give something, people are more likely to want to give back to you. So that's the law of reciprocation. You can go on YouTube, watch a video. There's many different aspects to that law. It's a very effective way to establish strong bonds with people and build a fantastic relationship. And from that aspect, when you give value, people are more likely to want to purchase and buy from you. So today, it's true, for example, as a specialist in human behavior and human development, I'm doing a lot of live sessions. So this is my 15th in Honest Conversations. I've done around 20 or 30 before, and I'm not selling you anything. And that's not my priority, okay? Right now, my business generates a lot of income from B2B, so I'm not really B2C focused when it comes to generating money. But at the end of the day, who knows? Maybe in the future, I will post some online courses like I had promised you guys that I would very soon, but I'm still trying to choose the avenue and the methodology. Prior to this, for the last 3-4 years, I couldn't because I used to fly 90 trips a year almost. It was crazy. I lived on a plane and in airports and hotels. And now with the lockdown with COVID, that's definitely presented me with a greater opportunity to spend more time interacting with media. And that's why I'm doing these videos. I'm spending time sharing with you information and content at a certain level because that's what you've asked me for. It's your feedback that's told me, provide us with the basics on social media like this. And that's what I'm doing. If you guys would like, more developed answers, a deeper dive into the selling process and customization of it, you can always reach out to me. There's no problem there. And I'm not pitching you. I'm just telling you that if you want more information, more advanced information, it's not going to be on Honest Conversations. It's going to be in a different platform. All right. A couple other things to tell you. I think, if anything, if there were 3 primary skills that I would recommend that you generally focus on when selling, the first is learn how to present yourself. So when I say present yourself, it means try to establish integrity, honesty, trust, warmth, and care in the first 20 seconds. Because people's minds tend to judge us very quickly. So we know visually that we assess a person under 4 seconds, okay? It's actually more like 2 seconds. And in fact, it's 0.5 seconds to be accurate. And then you spend 4 seconds trying to confirm that. That's what the brain does. Try to discover that person is a threat or not the moment you do eye contact. And on the phone, it's a bit longer. It's about 4 to 8 seconds, depending on the person's mind and how they function, how they think, and how they analyze stuff. So in this situation, the first thing is that most times our first impression is not the best impression. So learn how to develop yourself, your body language, your voice, your tone, your dress, your wear, to reach out to people and establish instant trust. Okay, so work on your brand, on your personal brand. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would recommend is when you establish that trust and that rapport quite quickly at the beginning of the sale, spend quite a good chunk, around 40% of the time, asking powerful questions. Asking powerful questions means questions focused on discovering what that person really wants and what they really need. We can go deeper into that later, but if you're asking questions, you don't want to ask everything. You want to ask smart questions, see what they're responding, and try to build on what they're responding. So try to imagine you're playing one of those strategy games, and you start off with this little piece of land, and you can see your little character in the game moving, bouncing up and down. And then he starts exploring the map, and the map opens up, and you see more and more of the map. That's what you're really doing. You don't know the person, and you're trying to discover what their map is. Hey, what do you want? What are you looking for? Who are you? What's important to you? So some good questions to ask are, what are the top 3 things you're looking for in a product or service of this kind? Okay, I wouldn't really say, how can I help you? I don't like that word. I would say, how can we get to your objective, or how can we get you the results you're looking for, or how can I serve you better, or how can I add value, or what are you looking for today, and how can I be of value to you? Because I want them to think about value, not about helping you. Helping, for me, is a word where I assume that that person doesn't have the capacity to do things on his own, and I don't like that. I think it's a very outdated term. So I start to ask questions. The objective of the questions is to discover, to understand, to connect, and to build rapport with the client and deep trust. When you're there, when you're at the deep trust, when you understand their needs, okay, then you can move on to saying, all right, well, these are some choices that seem to be the top choices for you. Choice 1, choice 2, choice 3. What would you like? What serves you best? So they might say, well, I like choice 2. Choice 3 is phenomenal. I just can't afford it right now. Choice 1, not exactly what I'm looking for. I say, great. Well, let's take a look at how we can make choice 3 something that you could purchase, and choice 2, something that gives you what you really need. So what you're doing is you're trying to adjust, and they would appreciate that extra effort from you, what you're actually offering them, to mix and match it so that it's customized to meet their needs. Okay? And ultimately, what's going to happen is they're going to say, okay, this looks great. Here, you start to communicate and talk. And when you communicate and talk, don't sell the product, just inform and educate. Because when you inform and educate, you are empowering that person to make the choice themselves. So it's not about advising. It's not about consulting, okay? Even though these are okay terms, it's about connecting with, okay? And discussing openly and honestly, all right? Yeah, locate the problem. Gabe, Habibi. Gabe is out of Cali. How you doing, brother? Locate the problem, create and elevate. Absolutely. Create a solution. It depends on what your product is or what your service is. So I see Nutriform Clinic is logged on. She's amazing. For example, she creates really, really, really tasty chocolate treats that are gluten-free and dairy-free. And a while ago, I went ahead and purchased on Toters a box of her chocolates. And I was surprised by how quick she called me. So she called me immediately and said, hi, I just want to check on your order. Did you get it? Did you try them out? Did you enjoy it? And I was blown away. And I thought, whoa, that's really rare in Lebanon. Okay. And when we had a discussion, she was super awesome. And she communicated to me that her products are absolutely gluten-free and that I should be fine with them. And she followed up with me to check if once I ate them, if I had problems or not. And actually, I didn't at all. There's also another great service that I was offered by Kiss the Spoon, which also did a fantastic service. Different products, both are chocolates, but different products. What else? Zater Zet has done a fantastic job at always calling me back and following up with me, even though I've been a loyal customer for a long time. So you have many companies that go the extra mile to serve you. And then you have companies that you call and nobody picks up the phone, which drives me nuts. I can't tell you how many businesses, let's focus on Lebanon for a second, that I call and they never answer their phone, okay? And then you're like, everyone's complaining that there's no money in the country, but nobody answers their phone. And even worse than that, when you call them to answer their phone, they're just not so great at serving you, okay? So it's very important to establish a great relationship with your client, because the more they trust you, the more they're likely to be open, and the more they're likely to be comfortable, and the more they're likely to allow themselves to get emotional, and the more emotionally connected they are to the buy, the more likely they are to go ahead and buy it. There's so many other things to talk about. I mean, I could train on sales and coach you guys on sales for no less than 10 full days. But I just wanted to share some ideas and thoughts. Feel free to shoot me over some questions. If you'd like further elaboration, keep your voice notes under 30 seconds. I do not answer any voice note over 30 seconds anymore, because it's not because I'm being annoying, but to be very frank with you, if you think about 2 hours of voice notes a day, that's pretty crazy. Now, most of them are funneled over to my team, who handles and filters them out to try to serve you as best as possible, because I really don't have the time. But it is very important to feel comfortable enough to try to reach out to me. And I promise, when I can answer, I will, or someone from my team will respond back to you and definitely give you the solution you're looking for. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to this talk. I hope it served you well. I wish those who are celebrating and fasting in Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan, I wish you a great iftar. And for those of you who are not in the Arab world and are living overseas, I wish you guys have an incredible and amazing day, as it's probably the start of your day if you're in the US or Canada or somewhere like that. And if you're in the other side of the world, whatever your time zone is, God bless you. It's so great to connect with you all. I'll see you next week in Honest Conversations. Some very interesting things that are going to happen very, very soon. And hopefully you guys are going to really like the new evolution as we're learning, because I'm learning how to do this more and more effectively. So God bless you. Take care. Catch you soon. All right. Bye-bye. Bye, Maina. Thank you so much. It's good to see you also on YouTube as always. Take care, everybody. See you next week. John out.